Coming to you from Studio D, the Deep Dive Podcast proudly presents Hollywood Hype, a series that looks at the gimmicks, tie-ins, and publicity stunts that lured unsuspecting patrons into movie theaters. I'm Tom Feeney, two-time Emmy Award-winning producer and writer for Wings Chop Movie Magazine. These days, your top-of-the-line multiplex theater has the latest and greatest technology designed to enhance the movie-going experience. They employ digital laser projection with 4K resolution and 8,000 lumens of brightness, sound systems like Dolby Atmos with its up to 35 discrete speakers and 128 separate audio tracks has made movies feel more immersive than ever. But it wasn't always this way. Back before digital projection, before surround sound, before reclining seats with cup holders, there was just the big screen and you. It took the existential threat of television in the mid-20th century to get movie studios and theaters to truly begin to get innovative and ridiculous. And of course, that's what Hollywood Hype is all about. Now, this episode, I'm afraid, might strike some as offensive. Not in a moral sense, mind you, more like another sense. The sense of smell. Not comfortable with just sight and sound, there have been serious attempts to introduce aromatics to the movies, and some were quite foul. Yes, I am referring to the dubious invention known as smell-o-vision, or aromascope, and even odorama. The notion of stimulating the olfactory senses of a movie audience goes farther back than you might imagine. Even farther back than the introduction of sound in motion pictures. Legend has it that an entrepreneur named Samuel Roxy Rothafel, renowned for putting on lavish presentations of silent films in theaters, was the first to use scents, that's S-C-E-N-T-S, to entice audiences. In 1906, Rothafel had the brilliant idea to dip a wad of cotton in a scented oil and use an electric fan to disperse the smell into the theater. And he did just that during a newsreel showing of that year's Rose Bowl parade, dipping the cotton in, of course, rose oil. Pretty ingenious. But then sound overtook the battle of the senses at the movies, and the smell sort of wafted away. That is, until a Swiss inventor named Hans Laub, who called himself a, quote, world-famous osmologist, end quote, whatever that is, created an actual system for delivering multiple scents at specific times during a movie. How did it work? Well, smells were delivered to the audience through pipes leading to individual seats in the theater. Bottles containing different scents were held on a rotating drum, and the process was triggered by a signal on the film itself. The system, dubbed, no surprise here, as smell-o-vision, was introduced by Laub at the New York World's Fair in 1939. But it would take another 2 decades until the rest of the world could smell his achievements.
A strange excitement in the air, her fragrant perfume lingers there. Why does the lady always wear the scent of mystery?
In 1960, movie-going audiences would finally be treated to their first exposure of smell-o-vision with the feature film Scent, of Mystery. The film centers, get it? Centers? Yeah, never mind. On a mystery novelist visiting Spain who uncovers a plot to murder an American heiress. Along the way, the novelist recruits a local taxi driver to help stop the assassination. And there's a pretty good cast here. Denholm Elliott, who you might remember from the Indiana Jones movies, plays the novelist. The taxi driver is legendary actor Peter Lorre, and the heiress is an uncredited Elizabeth Taylor. Hey, what could go wrong? Well, producer Mike Todd Jr. chose to adapt a 1947 novel called Ghost of a Chance for the Smell-O-Vision debut. Halfway through filming, Todd asked the film's director, Jack Cardiff, if he had ever had a chance to see, or rather smell, how the process worked. He had not, so a demonstration was arranged. Cardiff was not impressed. In a 1986 interview, Jack Cardiff recounted his experience with Smell-O-Vision.
It's hard to believe, but each labeled glass smelled exactly the same as the others, like a very cheap eau de cologne. It was such a sad thing that the film was made, as an integral part of the film was, of course, the use of smells. And it didn't come off because the smells were nothing. They were a fake.
What were the smells, by the way? Well, here's a list. Pipe tobacco, coffee, roses, wine, gunpowder, peppermint, shoe polish, gasoline, perfume, flowers, brandy, fresh sea air, peaches, bananas, and wood shavings. But here's the thing. Once the film got into theaters equipped with the Smell-O-Vision system, it didn't really pass the smell test. Some audience members thought the scents were too strong, and some didn't smell much of anything at all, depended where you sat in the theater. Because it turns out that sight and sound are pretty much direct to your senses mediums, but smells can be elusive. And the cost of installing the scent delivery system was prohibitive as well. It worked out to around $25 to $30 per seat, which at a theater with a 500-seat capacity would mean an investment of almost $15,000. And in today's dollars, that's equivalent to around $160,000. Needless to say, most theaters couldn't afford to add Smell-O-Vision. The first venue that did was the Cinestage Theater in Chicago, Illinois. Scent of Mystery did not exactly encourage any more theaters to make that investment. All in all, it was an interesting experiment, but as an enhancement to the movie-going experience, it simply wasn't up to snuff. Scent of Mystery was ultimately retitled and re-released as Holiday in Spain, without the offensive aroma clouding the original title. But you can't keep a good gimmick down. A quarter century later, in 1986, MTV, remember them? Actually broadcast Scent of Mystery one time and one time only.
First, the wheel, then the Slice-O-Matic, and now another giant step for mankind. Smell-O-Vision. MTV presents The Scent of Mystery, the world's first scratch and sniff movie. On Saturday, November 21st, thrill to the scent of a steaming locomotive, chill to the essence of suntan oil, become ill to the fragrance of baked beans.
What is that smell?
Experience the technological breakthrough of the 80s. Go to your participating 7-Eleven, get your scratch and sniff Smell-O-Vision cue card, and when you see a flashing number, scratch that number and sniff. You'll get a clue to the mystery lady's identity. And when you're sniffing around for great deals, here's another clue. 7-Eleven.
Love stinks.
The Scent of Mystery. Hollywood's big one. Saturday, November 21st, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. The night MTV really stinks. Sponsored in part by 7-Up.
As the promo says, they used a scratch and sniff card found at your participating 7-Eleven convenience stores to produce the scents. Each scent was numbered, and when the number appeared on the screen, you scratched the corresponding number and movie magic. Now, where did this great idea come from to use an inexpensive scratch and sniff card instead of a whole complicated series of bottles and tubes? Oh, there's another history lesson coming your way, listeners. It's what I do. Now, if you're a Gen Xer like me, you have fond memories of those early scratch and sniff children's books, stickers, and labels. For a while during the 70s and 80s, this stuff was everywhere. In the late 1960s, the process of microencapsulation was discovered, quite by accident, by someone working for the 3M Corporation. The scent is embedded in microcapsules and released when the capsules are broken. It was an incredibly clever way of delivering a particular smell directly to one's olfactory sensors. So effective, in fact, that it was used as a gimmick in a film by none other than the Pope of Trash himself, director John Waters. Yes, the deranged genius behind classic films as Pink Flamingos, Hairspray, Cry Baby, and Serial Mom used scratch and sniff technology to enhance the experience of watching his 1981 movie, Polyester. Here's how it was presented to audiences in theaters in a prologue to the film itself.
Hello, moviegoers. I am Dr. Arnold Quackenshaw, and I am here to explain to you the wondrous screen gimmick, Odorama. Odorama will enable you, the viewer, to actually smell right from your movie seat some of life's most fragrant odors. The producers of this film have unselfishly spent untold millions of dollars to develop this startling process. And I have been locked away for many years in the laboratory, experimenting with this mind-boggling project. I would like to share with you some of my research. All right, first of all, this is the nose, the most prominent part of the human face. It bears the nostrils and covers the nasal passages. We all have one, this nose. Call it what you will. Schniezer, schnoz, beak, schmeller, schnaut, schnoot, it all means the same thing. Through this nose come some of life's most rewarding sensations, and we plan to share with you some of the most beautiful odors known to mankind. Unfortunately, this same nose is also responsible for bringing us some odors that are rather repulsive. We have not shied away from this distressing fact. You will experience some odors that may shock you. But the producers of this film believe that today's audiences are mature enough to accept the fact that some things in life just plain stink. All right, now this is the product of our endless experimentation, the Odorama card. The card is actually quite simple to operate. Just listen carefully and follow my instructions. When a number appears on the screen, that is your signal to scratch and to sniff the same number on your Odorama card. Yeah? Look, use anything you want to scratch it. Use a key, a coin. Use your fingernail. Number one. Now sniff it. Number one. Yeah, see? You get it? You smell it? Yeah, it works. By God, it actually works. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Odorama.
That's right, Odorama. Now, the film Polyester was a twisted take on 1950s-era melodramas, but with that special, tasteless John Waters magic. It starred actual 50s heartthrob Tab Hunter and one of Waters' favorite performers, Divine. The smells for Polyester included new car smell, gasoline, dirty shoes, skunk, airplane glue, and flatulence. By the way, When the DVD for polyester was released in 2004, it included a recreated scratch and sniff card so the home viewer could experience smelling farts in their own home without having to blame the dog. More recent films that used the scratch and sniff cards were Paramount's Rugrats Go Wild and Dimension Films' Spy Kids All the Time in the World. But in that case, it was called Aromascope.
Hello. 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 As the star of this movie, I've been asked to introduce you to the fourth dimension of cinema, a dimension beyond sight and sound, one of smell. Using the very latest in cutting-edge micro-encapsulation technology, we've managed to capture all the fragrant aromas of this movie and squeeze it onto this little card. Whenever you see the flashing number on screen, simply scratch that number on your card to unleash a symphony of sweet, tantalizing scents that will make you feel like you're right there in the movie. But don't scratch the numbers ahead of time, okay? That'd be like skipping to the end of the film, and where does that get you? Back home early washing socks. So, remember, number, scratch, smell. So simple, even a dog could do it.
All in all, a simple, cheap, and easy way to deliver specific odors to an otherwise scent-deprived populace. But some people just can't help making things more complicated, can they? Now, at the turn of the 21st century, a company called DigiSense was formed to create what they called digital scent technology. Two friends, Joel Bellinson, a molecular biologist, and Dexter Smith, an industrial engineer, wanted to bring the full panoply of odors to the internet.
Hi, I'm with Joel Bellinson, who is the CEO and co-founder of a new company called DigiSense. They've got a technology called iSmell, and we're going to find out all about it today. How you doing, Joel?
Wonderful.
Tell me what iSmell means to gamers out there.
You can imagine, you're playing a racing game, you're driving through all kinds of terrain, whether forests or deserts or oceans or through the cities with the shops that you're passing by. All those have smells.
Now, when are we going to see the little device? When is iSmell going to be out on the market?
The mass rollout of devices will be in time for Christmas.
So there's going to be games that smell at Christmas 2000, and not the traditional way.
Yeah, when you say this game stinks, it might be a compliment.
Yes, now you can smell the internet. What a horrifying concept. Who would even invest in this? Well, keep in mind that this was 1999, the peak of the so-called dot-com bubble, where any company with an even tangential connection to the internet was burning up billions in venture capital money. DigiSense was the beneficiary of $20 million in venture capital to develop the unfortunately named iSmell, as in iPhone or iPad, or, They created a prototype unit that could produce different scents by combining various oils contained inside the unit. They claimed that there were potentially thousands of different aromas that could be created. But the people behind DigiSense failed to ask one important question, however. Who wants this thing? Well, turns out, no one. DigiSense tore through their capital quickly, and by the end of 2001, the company was no more. You wonder what defeat smells like? No, not the feet, mind you, defeat. Of course, others have tried to pick up the stinky mantle and tried to reintroduce the concept, this time with smartphones.
Wake up. Imagine waking up to the smell of bacon coming out of your cell phone. British researchers developed the digital smell technology behind the app for that. Professor Adrian Chiok came up with a device that spits out smells like food, flowers, and spices.
You can send someone a Facebook message, but instead of just putting you're feeling happy, you also have the floral smell.
Chiok says the chemical-based aromas appeal to the part of the brain responsible for memory and emotion. He says doctors who work with Alzheimer's patients think the technology might be useful.
Because smell is such a powerful trigger of emotion, it can be used as a way to remind them to do things. For example, take the medicine or even eat.
A restaurant in Spain that can take weeks to make a reservation sends this attachment and a link to an app that allows prospective diners to grind the herbs and spices in one of their aromatic soups in anticipation of their meal.
Once again, it smells like a solution looking for a problem. Now, will smell-o-vision ever become an integral part of the entertainment experience? If it ever does, it will most likely become part of the virtual reality landscape. VR is supposed to be as immersive as possible, so maybe someday you really can smell what The Rock is cooking. Thanks for listening. If this is the first time you've heard this podcast, check out our past episodes, available on almost all podcast providers, and subscribe so you don't miss a single one. And if you like what you hear, write a review. We would love to know what you think. Or drop us a line at thedeepdivepodcast@gmail.com or on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter/X feeds. You can find links to those in our awesome t-shirt store in the bio of our Instagram page. All clips used in this podcast are meant for educational purposes only and not to infringe on existing copyrights. Hollywood Hype is part of the Deep Dive Podcast family and a production of Automaton Studios.